Good evening and welcome. This is the October 23rd, 2023 legislative session of the Salisbury City Council. In event of an emergency, we ask that everyone remain calm and exit through the double doors to the parking lot located in the front corner of this building. If the doors are blocked, please exit through the door to my right by pulling the fire alarm located to the right of the door under the monitor. Please let us know if you need assistance. At this time, we ask everyone to please silence your phones. If you plan to speak during the public comments period, at the end of the meeting, please fill out a form on the table near the door you came in and give it to the city clerk. You will be allowed 4 minutes. Please stand for the pledge of the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is Pastor Greg Carlson of Park 70-Day Adventist Church here? If not, we will bow our heads in a moment of silent meditation. Thank you. Could I have a motion to adopt the legislative agenda?
So moved.
I move to make a motion to amend the legislative agenda by inserting the following resolution immediately following the resolution of 3289. Resolution number 3290, the resolution of council in this, of the City of Maryland to authorize the mayor to enter into, on behalf of the City of Salisbury, an amended and restated land disposition agreement with Davis Strategic Development, LLC, setting forth the terms and conditions governing the sale and redevelopment of Lot 3 and 16. I do have a copy of that resolution. Last week, it was on our work session agenda, and we all had consensus to move it forward.
Yes, and I had it moved until the next meeting.
Did you consult anybody about that? I didn't know anything about that.
I'm the president and I can do that. It's been done before.
I would like to make a motion to add this resolution to the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Can I stop you? We need a second to approve. We had
Yes, we do for the legislative agenda.
Ms. Gregory motioned, am
Yes.
I correct?
Yes.
And we need a second to approve the
Second.
Okay, thank you.
Again, I would like to move to make a motion to amend the legislative agenda by inserting the following resolution immediately following the resolution 3289. That resolution is 3290, and it's a resolution of the Council of the City of Salisbury, Maryland, to authorize the mayor to enter into, on behalf of the City of Salisbury, an amended and restated land disposition agreement with Davis Strategic Development, LLC, setting forth the terms and conditions governing the sale and redevelopment of Lot 3 and Lot 16. It was 100% consensus to move this forward from last work session, and I am making a motion to put it on tonight's agenda.
I have something to say before we do that.
So I'm sorry, are we having discussion? Because
No,
Yeah, we're
can we have
gonna-
discuss?
no, we
I'm sorry,
have to,
but can we have discussion while the motion is being presented to, or do we have to approve the motion second, then call for discussion?
I think it would be good to approve it.
Yes.
Yes, we have to approve it first, then we can call for discussion. So I second the motion?
yes.
Great.
Thank you.
Those in favor of the amendment?
Sorry?
Great. Those in favor of the amendment?
Oh, aye.
Say
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 4? Okay.
Ned. And what I want to do, I do want to.
Madam President, you can call for discussion.
I'm calling for a discussion.
Thank you.
I'm calling for, because who said that this could take place? Did you have a discussion with anybody? Angela?
Yes, I did have a discussion with the other council members when we realized that the agenda had been altered with nobody informing anyone in the council.
Had you been informed?
I'm sorry, nobody discussed this with me. Nobody discussed this with me, and
No one discussed it
agenda
with me either.
the agenda that we received, it wasn't like we got another agenda. So this is, the agenda that we received was the agenda that we have right now. So I'm just trying to figure out, I mean, I approve to move this forward, but I'm just trying to figure out when this discussion happened.
And I'm not trying to stifle this resolution or anything, but I just think that it would be fair to wait until after the election and everything, and the new people come in and take control. It has nothing to do with anything. It has nothing to do with me being against the parking lots or anything, and I feel as though everybody did not have this conversation.
On the last work session, we discussed this
We did discuss it.
resolution.
We did discuss it.
Can I,
We
Am
did
I-
discuss it, but for you to come back after I had taken it off the agenda for this time, and you turn around and put it back on without everybody's consent.
Point of order. So can I ask legal and/or the clerk, what are the qualifications and/or what are the steps that the president shall or may take to remove an item from an agenda without the consent from the council?
You probably know better than I. You probably know that better than
Yeah.
I.
Typically, the council president sets the agenda.
Okay.
Items can be added, just like this,
Okay.
to the agenda.
Okay. So it was just to remove the item, and it's also just to add item back to the agenda.
Pardon?
It is within reason to
Oh, yeah.
remove and it's also to add with a motion.
Can be,
Great.
yes, it can be done.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so when did this come, now, since I was asked the question, who did I consult to do this? Who did you consult to do this?
I didn't consult anyone to actually end it. I talked to other council people if they were aware of it. They were not. So removing it, and I guess from what I understand you saying, you removed it for the purpose of waiting until after the election. I'm just wondering where the transparency in that is.
You know what, I'm not gonna sit here and I'm not gonna go back and forth about this at all. But where is the transparency about what you did? Because you never consulted me that you were gonna even do this.
That's correct. I didn't have to.
Okay, so let's get that correct. You never said anything to me about doing this. You just did it on your own. Okay, as I did mine on my own. And it's not about consulting anybody, and it's not about transparency. I never have had a problem with transparency at all.
Well,
And you should know that yourself.
Well, you opened that up, so when, I believe it was September 18th, you submitted a resolution that an outside organization wrote for us, and none of us knew about it. I'm just simply putting back on the agenda what the city council talked about in length, and the concession from everybody was 100% to move it forward to this evening's agenda. Taking it off the agenda without consultation with any council people, I don't know, I think I just moved, just brought it back up that we could put it on the agenda and talk about it. If people don't want to pass it or discuss it or whatever, that can come up when it's read.
We have not had time, because it was not on the agenda, we have not had time to review it again and read it more thoroughly. So I really honestly do not think at this point that it is wise to move forward on it when we have not had a chance to thoroughly read it. Yes, we moved it forward, but we came into this meeting without this on the agenda, and this is a big piece of legislation, to move forward without having reviewed it and refreshed our memories, because we've been looking at this agenda and the contents of it. It has always been up to the discretion of the president to remove something from the agenda if they felt it was not appropriate. And I think that is something that we need to respect, the authority of the president, and also, be mindful of changing an agenda so drastically by adding a whole other piece of legislation to it with no notice. I know you did not discuss this with me, and
Of
I don't
course
know if
not.
it was discussed with any of the other council members, but I don't appreciate it being sprung on me just before we have a meeting, just as we were sitting down. You didn't even say anything prior to this meeting about this. So I really, honestly, even though we've been sitting in this chambers for the past hour, so I
Correct.
really, truly,
Correct.
while I am okay with adding it back on
I just wanna-
to discuss, but this was not a discussion. This is to vote it and move it forward. We had the discussion to move it forward. That does not mean it automatically goes on the next agenda. I can't tell you how many pieces of legislation we have voted to move forward and comes up a month later. So it's not out of order or out of precedence for us to have a piece of legislation move forward from a work session and then not add it immediately to the next legislative agenda.
And
I'm
as
sorry,
I
this is just, you talk about transparency, this is, if you had an issue with it, you could have called any of us, you could have called
Me.
the president and discussed it with her. I think this is really uncalled for, and I'm not very pleased. And I say this as someone who supports this project and would
And I
bet,
do too.
and it's in my district. You did not discuss it with even the council member who represents this, the district that this project would be taking place in. So I really, I'm shocked that this is happening, really, truly.
Council, Mayor, City Administrator, Legal, and Kim, with all due respect, this package was presented a week prior to October 16th's work session. In our work session, we hash out any questions. Well, you should have read it prior. So not being familiar with it today seems,
It's not about being
Strange.
familiar, ma'am. It is
It's-
about being,
I-
it
I'm
is
s-
about being current with it.
can I speak now? Can I? Okay, thank you. And we had discussed it on the 16th, and we had a big presentation on it. And there was a consensus from the council to move it forward.
Yeah, to move it
take-
forward, but not
to-
when to move it forward.
I think if we go back and
No
look,
one says it's not being moved forward. It's just not happening today. Nobody said it wasn't being moved forward.
Point of order.
Yes.
There's a motion on the floor.
Yes.
thank you. I think there was a motion and it was a 4-to-1 vote. So is it
I just,
back on the agenda?
Yes, it's on the agenda. It is actually, yeah, they did vote, so it is on the
Okay.
agenda. You just need to approve the amended agenda.
I move that we approve the amended agenda.
Or, yeah, you don't need a motion for that. You just need to vote on the amended agenda now.
so we're voting.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. 3-2. We're where did you want it placed? At the end of the resolutions?
Yeah, I think it would be pertinent to read it after Resolution 3289. This resolution number is 3290.
Okay.
Need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Kim? Ms. Nichols? Yeah.
Good evening. On the consent agenda tonight, we have the September 11th, 2023 council meeting minutes and resolution number 3287, approving the appointment of Jessica Cook to the Disability Advisory Committee for term ending October 2026. And that's it.
Okay, and we would like to, is Jessica Cook here?
Yeah.
You staying? We would like to thank you for, staying on our committee for disability. Okay, I know, but I'm just thanking her too. Okay. All those in favor of the consent agenda?
Aye.
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 Aye, and the chair votes aye. 5-0. I'd like to thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.
A motion to approve the water bids. Could I have a motion to approve the water bids?
So moved?
Second?
Good evening, council.
Good evening.
I have two items on the award of bid agenda for this evening. The first is invitation to bid number A-24-103. This is what we call various water treatment chemicals. This is for the Department of Water Works. We bid out an estimated 1-year supply of the majority of their chemicals within this bid, so it's several different chemicals. And then it's what we consider an indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract, so they place orders when needed. This bid was put out publicly on August 14th, 2023. We opened the bids on September 15th, 2023 at 2:30. I did include kind of a fun bid tabulation in your packet so you can see what those bid prices were. Anything that was in green are the prices that we're contracting with. The amounts that I put on my memo are just the FY24 chemical budgets for both the wastewater treatment plant and the water treatment plants. You'll note that those amounts are a bit greater than this overall award for the entire year, but there are a few other chemicals in that as well. We did get bid pricing on, I think, 8 out of the 9 chemicals. There's one particular item we didn't get a bid price on, that was for quicklime. So we will either rebid that, or as they need to purchase it, follow, procurement rules and get quotes as we go along. Yeah, and I will add just some other fun facts to this whole thing. So when we bid this 3 years ago, right? So it was a 1-year contract, and then we renew it, 1 or 2 times based on mutual agreement with the vendors. Between 3 years ago and more recently, with COVID and supply chain shortages, we had seen an increase, it was about $500,000 in the cost of chemicals right off the bat. And I will say maybe the sliver of good news here is when I look at these prices that we just got, based on where we just most recently contracted or renewed at, it seems like it might be leveling off a little bit. Fingers crossed on that when we try and do some of that analysis to see, where we're trending with everything. So maybe a light at the end of the tunnel there. questions or comments on that one? The other item is invitation to bid number 24-110. Keep in mind, we often assign contract numbers like ITB. It helps us track things internally, even though this wasn't a formal invitation to bid. I'll explain this, it was an exemption to competitive bidding because we're piggybacking on another entity's contract. So this was in conjunction with the Department of Information Services. We're looking to migrate our Verizon landline phone service to Verizon wireless phone service and replace all desk phones due to our current provider, which is Mitel. They have an end of service date in 2026 and a discontinuation of the Mitel MyVoice licenses coming up June 2024. So really what that means is come June 2024, we couldn't buy any more licenses. Even if we had one more person start, we couldn't buy another phone license for that person. So we were looking at an imminent end of contract, end of cycle with this provider. So we looked at some options with that provider. We looked at Verizon, felt that this particular contract is a NASPO Value Point Master Agreement number MA152 for wireless voice data and accessories with Verizon. This was publicly bid by NASPO, it's the State Procurement Officials Organization. Back in 2019, the contract is valid through August of 2024. This is a really good deal for the city. Just looking to replace desk phones. We have, 300 some desk phones throughout the city at $300 to $400 a piece. We're getting in just under the wire with this contract in that we believe that the phones will be at no cost to us. So right out of the gate, we're looking to save about $130,000 in hard equipment costs. The other thing we will likely save, say, in year one is, right now we contracted an outside provider to provide maintenance on the phones. If we need any programming for the phones, there's more on the back end of the phones than what you think. There's probably an annual savings of about $50,000 there as well, too. Plus, let's add on to Verizon landline costs have been steadily increasing. We have been on the state of Maryland contract for several years. We probably pay in the neighborhood of about $150,000 a year just for incoming, outgoing phone services and whatnot. We think we're gonna save probably about $50,000 a year by switching over to this platform, which is what's called Verizon One Talk Wireless. So just a couple of fun facts. We'll see a substantial amount of savings in year one, and then year two have that sort of ongoing savings. So in your packet, I did list the cooperative contract that we would like to piggyback on. I don't put the GL account in your packet because it varies by department, but the general ledger object code is 555401. Purchasing authority per the City of Salisbury Charter, Section SC 16-3, general policy of competitive bidding exceptions. This states that competitive bidding is not necessary or appropriate for, first of all, contracts for insurance or for public utility services. So this is a service that we don't even have to seek competitive pricing on, but we did. And then secondly, contracts in which the city receives a contract price negotiated by the state, county, or other governmental entity pursuant to a valid contract. That's this concept of piggybacking. So we're piggybacking on a NASPO Value Point contract. I know that's long-winded, sorry.
No, I appreciate the thoroughness. It's always nice to have you walk it through with us.
Any questions or comments?
None.
I love to hear that we're saving money, so thank you.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor of water bids, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you. Mr. Kinsler. have a motion to approve Resolution 3288?
So moved.
Second.
Resolution number 3288, a resolution of the City of Council of the City of Salisbury authorizing the mayor to sign a memorandum of agreement with Cal Ripken Senior Foundation for a STEM lab donation to the Newton Street Community Center, whereas the Housing and Community Development Department's Community Relations Division applied for a private grant through the Cal Ripken Senior Foundation for the donation of a STEM lab for the Newton Street Community Center, and it was approved by the foundation, whereas we recognize that in communities of need, children often have limited opportunities and exposure to various resources that allow them to grow and thrive, whereas access to STEM educational opportunities is critically necessary to expose children at early age to this type of training in a safe environment that allows for growth and creativity, whereas access to such resources will aid in the process of widening their educational and occupational opportunities. Now therefore be resolved by the City Council of the City of Salisbury, hereby authorizing the mayor to sign this memorandum of agreement with the Cal Ripken Senior Foundation to accept the donation, installation, and training of staff for a STEM lab at Newton Street Community Center. Thank you.
Okay, are there any questions or comments in reference to this?
I just love that we're getting so many great materials for the kids, you know, being able to get the experience with these kinds of things like a 3D printer is going to open up all kinds of avenues for them in their education, and I think that's amazing.
And educationally wise, I think it's a great idea. It's great for our kids. And hopefully it can help with the adults as well, you know. We can learn from the kids, so that's a great thing.
So I want to add that I had the pleasure of meeting with Mark Pigarelli from Boys and Girls Club, and I know soon here we're going to be experiencing this at the Truett Street Community Center, and I was able to have an in-depth tour and see the future for that center. So I'm excited when we see this come to Truett Street in my district as well. It's going to be an awesome resource that is much needed in District 2. So thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Vote is 5-0. Could I get a motion to approve resolution number 3289?
So moved.
Second.
Resolution number 3289, a resolution of the Council of the City of Salisbury to approve and adopt a water and sewer extension policy. Whereas the City Municipal Code Section 13.02.060 permits the extension of the city's public water and/or sewer systems to properties not located within the city's corporate limits. Whereas the city desires to adopt a formal policy regulating the manner in which public water and/or sewer is extended to properties not located within the city's corporate limits. Whereas adoption of a water and sewer extension policy will help ensure uniform availability of such services in the event of a public health emergency, and whereas in accordance with the foregoing, attached hereto and as Exhibit 1 is proposed water and sewer extension policy for the City of Salisbury. Whereas by this resolution, the county hereby approves the water and sewer extension policy attached hereto as Exhibit 1, and now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Salisbury, Maryland as follows. Section 1, the water and sewer extension policy and exhibits thereto attached hereto and incorporated herein as Exhibit 1 are hereby approved and adopted. Section 2, it is the intention of the mayor and council in the city of Salisbury that each provision of this resolution shall be deemed independent of all other provisions herein. Section 3 is further the intention of the mayor and council of the city of Salisbury that if any section, paragraph, subsection, clause, or provision of this resolution shall be adjudged invalid, unconstitutional, or otherwise unenforceable under applicable Maryland or federal law, such adjudication shall apply only to this section, paragraph, subsection, clause, or provisions so adjudged, and all other provisions of this resolution shall remain and shall be deemed valid and enforceable. Section 4, the recitals set forth here above in Exhibit 1 attached hereto are incorporated into this section of the resolution as if such recitals in Exhibit 1 were specifically set forth at length in this Section 4. Thank you.
Any questions or comments? All in favor of resolution 3289, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Okay. Could I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance? No, this is for Ashland. motion to approve Resolution 3290?
So
So-
moved.
Second.
Resolution number 3290, a resolution of the Council of the City of Salisbury, Maryland, to authorize the mayor to enter into, on behalf of the City of Salisbury, an amended and restated land disposition agreement with Davis Strategic Development LLC, setting forth the terms and conditions governing the sale and redevelopment of Lot 3 and Lot 16. Whereas the mayor and council of the City of Salisbury determined that there is surplus real property owned by the City of Salisbury that should be redeveloped, and furthermore, that there is a strong public need for increased infill development in the city, and whereas the mayor and city council previously approved the surplus sale and redevelopment of city parking lots number 16 and city parking lot number 3 in resolutions 2848 and 2849, and whereas the city parking lot number 16 was sold to Davis Simpson Holdings LLC and a disposition contract was executed on June 26, 2018, and whereas the third amendment to the disposition contract signed in June 2019 assigning the buyer's interest to BKR Holdings LLC and BKR Holding LLS is now known as Strategic Simpson Development LLC, and whereas the city parking lot number 3 was sold to R. Miller Properties LLC and a disposition contract was executed on August 7, 2018, and whereas the council previously approved the transfer of ownership of city parking lot number 3 from R. Miller Properties to Davis Strategic Development LLC in resolution 3026, subject to the terms and conditions previously set forth in the city parking lot number 3 disposition contract between the city and R. Miller Properties LLC, and whereas the deeds and disposition contracts required both the Lot 16 and Lot 3 properties be developed, described in the individual disposition contracts, or the properties would be reverted to the city ownership. And whereas for various reasons, including the global COVID-19 pandemic, Davis Strategic Development LLC purchase and redevelopment of the properties has been delayed, and the city and Davis Strategic Development LLC has agreed to amend the original LDA in its entirety as more particular set forth in the amended and restated land position agreement attached hereto and incorporated herein as Exhibit A to provide the rights and obligations of the city and Davis Strategic Development LLC with respect to the following. 1, Davis Strategic Development LLC's purchase of the properties as described in the amended LDA. 2, add delayed performance penalties. 3, remove terms that make obtaining financing prohibitive. And 4, such other matters relating to Davis Strategic Development LLC purchase, lease, and redevelopment of the project subject to the terms and conditions contained in the amended LDA. And whereas by this resolution, the council, 1, hereby approves the amended LDA, and 2, hereby authorizes the mayor's execution therein on behalf of the city. And whereas upon the mayor's execution of the amended LDA on behalf of the city as authorized hereunder, all the terms set forth in the amended LDA shall be deemed and otherwise construed to supersede, replace in its entirety the original LDA. Now therefore be resolved by the Council of the City of Salisbury as follows. Section 1, the mayor is hereby authorized to execute on behalf of the City of Salisbury that certain amended and restated land disposition agreement between the City of the Salisbury and Davis Strategic Development LLC attached hereto and incorporated herein as Exhibit A. Section 2 is the intention of the mayor and council of the City of Salisbury that each provision of this resolution shall be deemed independent of all other provisions herein. Section 3 is further the intention of the mayor and council of the City of Salisbury that in any section, paragraph, subsection, clause, or provision of this resolution shall be adjudged invalid, unconstitutional, or otherwise unenforceable under applicable Maryland or federal law. Such adjudication shall apply only to the section, paragraph, subsection, clause, or provision so adjudged, and all other provisions of this resolution shall remain and shall be deemed valid and enforceable. Section 4, the recital is set forth herein in Exhibit A attached hereto, and all exhibits attached thereto and incorporated therein are incorporated into this section of the ordinance, resolution, as in such recitals and Exhibits A were specifically set forth at length in this Section 4. Thank you.
Are there any questions or comments?
I just really do not think it is proper to have this on the agenda without us being able to read the LDA. There's been many times in the past where a piece of legislation has changed from the work session to the actual legislative session, and we have caught those changes. I do not feel comfortable, even though this is something that I support, I do not feel comfortable voting on it without having the legislation in the packet in front of me. Yes, we reviewed it before. Yes, I support this project. Yes, I supported moving this forward, and we were going to move it forward. But I do not support voting on something when I do not have what Mr. Kitzrow just read in front of me. And I think it is really poor form that this was sprung on us without any warning from Councilwoman Blake. And I have a real problem with the way this whole thing has been handled.
Here's a copy if you need a copy to review again. We did have it on the work session prior for the week.
We did, but I
And
want to see it in this packet.
Can I-
I want to see it in this packet, and that's my problem, Ms. Blake.
I was
I was
speaking.
speaking.
Is there anything else?
Mr. Taylor, I'm going to ask you to sit down, please.
Just have a
Please
seat.
don't interrupt me. I think this is really poor form. I think this is disrespectful to not only the council president, but the rest of the council. While again, I support this project, but I do not like something being brought that isn't in the council pack, that hasn't been given prior public notice that it would be on the agenda unless it's an emergency. And this is not an emergency.
On the work.
I understand that it was on the work session. I understand that. The fact of the matter is that we have experienced in the past, where a piece of legislation has come in front of us and there was a typo or there was something wrong with it. And we needed to fix it and amend it. And I do not feel comfortable voting on something that I just had to go back into the work session to try and find, number one. And number two, by the time I was able to find it, I cannot tell if it's exactly the same as what Mr. Kitzrow read. So I am going to ask the rest of the council to not vote for this. This is a project very important to my district. I'm going to ask the rest of the council to not vote for this, just because of the way this was handled. This is very poor form. This makes us look disorganized in the public view, and it also makes us look like we're willing to just pass anything without having it on the agenda already. And I can't agree with it. This goes against what we've been talking about, the transparency. You want to talk about transparency? This is not transparency.
Mr. DeShawn?
Point of order, yes. So,
Did you want to say something before?
So I'm glad that this is back on the agenda, because I think we can all learn a lesson when things are added but also removed, because we didn't remove anything else from the work session last meeting. And I think this is a moment where communication between council needs to be had. Again, this was a good precedence. Again, things that were said on each side were true about the other side. So communication has to be forefront when we come to these issues. Now, given that, I make a motion to table Resolution 3290 until the next meeting.
Thank you. Second.
Do we, are we calling
Yeah,
for a vote?
you're calling for a vote or for a motion?
I just motioned to
She
table.
second.
Yep.
She
I
second.
second.
Okay,
So
and then
call for a vote.
you call for
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 And it's not, and I want to say this, it's not that we don't want to do this, but I'm like Michelle, we have to be careful. It's not just this resolution, it's a lot of them that we need to just examine more clear. We're not saying that we're not going to do it, we're just saying we just need to be clear on things.
Just make sure I understand, did you say we are tabling this to the
Yes.
next,
Yes, till the next.
to next meeting,
Yes,
next legislative meeting?
That's all.
Mr. Kitzrow, was the resolution different? Was there any wording or anything different as it was presented at the work session?
I did not believe so.
I don't think so either. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have, Ms. Boucher.
Good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm doing well. How's everyone?
Just fine. Could I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 2833 for second reading?
So moved. Second.
Boucher.
Ordinance number 2833. This is an ordinance of the City of Salisbury authorizing the mayor to appropriate funds for the Newton Community Center project. This is before you for second reading. There have been no changes or amendments since first reading.
Okay. Any questions, comments, or anything before we can move on?
No, as Deshaun mentioned about Church Street, the new community centers in my district, I'm excited to see this moving forward. I think the youth are excited, and I know you mentioned this, April, I have a number of senior residents in my district who are actually looking forward to participating a bit more in this center, so.
Okay.
Yes. And I also want to add that this was something that was brought to us to receive. This wasn't something that we sought out. So this is good that we have community partners that are looking for our best interest to receive grants like
Yes.
so.
Yes.
And always love to accept grants.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
Seeing funds come in and not going out is a good thing for the city.
Absolutely.
Okay, all in favor of ordinance 2833, please signify for second reading, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Could I get a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 2834 for second reading?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Ms. Boucher.
Ordinance number 2834, an ordinance of the City of Salisbury authorizing the mayor to appropriate funds for the Lot 5 compliance project. As you mentioned, this is before you for second reading. This was amended on the floor when we read it for first reading, and I will highlight those changes, which were voted on last meeting. They are to lines 15 and 16 of the ordinance, where we're striking 4 to 2 projects, and so just making clear that the changes did not include the North Prong Park project or the Riverfront Games Park. So those are the only changes that were made after first reading.
Okay. Okay, any questions or comments on this ordinance? All in favor of ordinance 2834, please signify by saying, for second reading, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Could I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 2835 for first reading?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, Ms. Boucher?
Ordinance number 2835, an ordinance of the City of Salisbury authorizing the mayor to appropriate funds for land acquisition for North Prong Park project. Whereas the City of Salisbury has determined the acquisition of 2 parcels will enhance North Prong Park. And whereas the 2 parcels and required environmental assessments are estimated to require $67,123 of additional funding after application of program open space grant. And whereas funding for the 2 parcels shall be provided by transferring $23,591 in PAYGO from general fund, reallocation of $43,531.35 in PAYGO funds no longer required for the Main Street Master Plan, and $1,925 in funds previously allocated to the North Prong Park project. And whereas the appropriation is necessary to execute the appropriation of $67,123 as provided herein must be made upon the recommendation of the mayor and the approval of 4/5 of the council. Section 1 of ordinance 2835 reads, Acting Mayor John R. Heath is hereby authorized to appropriate funds for the North Prong Park project in the amount of $67,123. I'm having a hard time with that tongue twister. And Section 2, the City of Salisbury FY24 general fund budget be and hereby is amended as follows. We're going to increase expense for account description transfer general capital projects, account 91001-599-109 by $21,666.65, and increase revenue for account description use of surplus, account number 01000-469811 by that same amount, which is $21,666.65. Section 3, the City of Salisbury's General Capital Project Fund budget is hereby amended as follows. Decrease revenue for project description Main Street Master Plan, account description PAYGO funds, account number 98019-469-313-48 022 in the amount of $43,531.35. Decrease expense for project description, Main Street Master Plan, account description, construction, account number 9819513-026-48022 by that same amount, which is $43,531.35. Increase revenue for project description North Prong Park, account description Paygo Funds, account number 98019469313-48039, in the amount of $65,198. An increase expense for project description North Prong Park, account description land, account 98118577010-48039 by that same amount, which is $65,198.
Okay, are there any questions or comments from anyone?
I am excited to see the layouts of this plan as it moves forward. I know this is something that Councilman Jackson's discussed, has been much needed in her district, so I'm looking forward to see the unveiling. I know Andy's and his team are working really hard to get something pulled together, so I can't wait to see what you all have planned for this space.
Likewise.
And there is hope, and I'm just so elated to know that this is going to get ready to take place and it's getting ready to come to form, because this has been a 40-year hazard to me in our community and in our district. And I'm just so elated to see that now something great is going to happen in District 1. This is just the start of something great happening in District 1. Okay, so, all in favor of 28, the first reading of 2835?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Chair votes aye. I didn't hear an aye.
Oh, aye, sorry.
Okay. Okay, 5-0, chair votes aye. Okay, could I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2836 for first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Boucher?
Ordinance number 2836, an ordinance of the City of Salisbury to set fees for FY 2024 and thereafter, and unless until subsequently revised or changed. Whereas the fees charged by the city are reviewed and then revised in accordance with the adoption of the fiscal year 2024 budget of the City of Salisbury. And whereas the fee amount set forth in FY 2024 fee schedule attached hereto and incorporated herein as Exhibit 1 identify and list all fee amounts to be charged and otherwise assessed by the city for the period of the fiscal year 2024 in accordance with the adoption of the fiscal year 24 budget of the city. And whereas some fee amounts to be charged and otherwise assessed by the city in fiscal year 2023 may have been inadvertently omitted from the FY 2023 fee schedule attached hereto and incorporated herein as Exhibit 1, and any fee amount not listed shall remain in the fee amount as set forth in the municipal code. Section 1 of Ordinance 2836 reads, "The fee amount set forth in FY 2024 fee schedule, which is attached hereto as Exhibit 1 and incorporated herein, as fully set forth in this Section 1, are hereby adopted by the council, and furthermore, the fee amounts set forth in the FY 24 fee schedule shall supersede the corresponding fee amount set forth in the city municipal code until one or more of the such fee amounts are subsequently amended." And I will direct your attention to page 9 of Exhibit 1, which is the 2024 fee schedule, and this is highlighting what was discussed in work session, where the proposed rates for annexation fees are being changed to up to 1 acre, 5,000, and each additional acre, partial or full, 500. And that has changed from the current rate, which is up to 1 acre, $9,091, and each additional acre, $9,091.
Are there any questions or comments in reference to 2836?
I think just for the public's knowledge, because I know a lot of terminology is thrown around at these meetings that they may not be familiar with, because I know it's our day-to-day. I appreciate the work that went into this, and you all kind of being a little bit proactive in identifying just how our rates were in comparison to some of the other municipalities. So, I mean, when you take the comparison that you all provided in this document, I mean, it was pretty astronomical comparison to either our neighboring municipalities or our, similar municipalities of our size. So, I think this is going to be a good thing for the city.
Yes, it is. Anyone else? Okay. All in favor of ordinance number 2836 for first reading, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Could I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 2837 for first reading?
So moved. Second?
Ms. Boucher?
Ordinance number 2837, an ordinance of the City of Salisbury authorizing the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Wycomico County Health Department and approving a budget amendment of the FY 2024 general fund budget to appropriate funds received from the Wycomico County Health Department in the amount of $10,000. Whereas the Wycomico County Health Department has received funding from the Midshore Behavioral Health, Inc. for a safe station program that provides 24-hour services to those seeking treatment and recovery resources through the utilization of the Wycomico County Safe Station, which will be located at the Recovery Resource Center. And whereas the Safe Station is an innovative program that helps remove barriers to treatment for members of our community who are eager to recover from substance use disorder. And whereas the goal of the Safe Station is to help people with linkage to treatment and recovery services by allowing them to practice self-determination. And whereas the City of Salisbury Fire Department will provide non-emergent medical checks to all individuals that enter the Safe Station, and in exchange, the Wycomico County Health Department will pay the Salisbury Fire Department $2,500 a quarter for a yearly total of $10,000 for providing such services. And whereas the City of Salisbury must enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Wycomico County Health Department defining the roles and responsibilities of the parties, and whereas the $10,000 received by the Fire Department under the memorandum of understanding with Wycomico County Health Department shall be used to purchase additional emergency medical supplies and equipment. And whereas both the fire chief and the mayor have recommended that the city enter into this MOU with the Wycomico County Health Department, accept the funds from the Wycomico County Health Department for providing services under the agreement, and allocate the funds to the fire department's FY 2024 operating budget. Whereas Section 7-29 of the city charter prohibits the city from entering into a contract that requires an expenditure not appropriated or authorized by the council. And so the appropriations necessary to execute the purpose of this memorandum of understanding must be made upon the recommendation of the mayor and the approval of 4/5 of the council. Section 1 of Ordinance 2837 reads, Acting Mayor John Jack Heath is hereby authorized to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Wycomico County Health Department to accept a total of $10,000 from the Wycomico County Health Department for providing services under the memorandum of understanding. Section 2, the City of Salisbury's grant fund budget be and hereby is amended as follows. A, increase general fund Wycomico County Health Department reimbursement account 01000-427-301-XXXXX by $10,000, and B, increase fire department expenditure medical account number 24035-546016 by that same amount, which is $10,000.
Any questions or comments? I can say that it's always good, like I said before, to receive and not spend unnecessary funds. So you're receiving funds from other agencies, and it's a great thing. So I'm looking at this as being an awesome thing for the health department to even consider giving the fire department funds to help. Anybody else?
Just love to get funding.
All those in favor of ordinance 2836 for first reading, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye.
Oh,
For the record, I think it was 28.
37.
Yes,
Yes.
37.
2837?
Yes.
Oh, no, it's, okay, it's wrong then. I didn't make the boo-boo.
we look at a lot of numbers, it's okay.
Yes. Yeah, we could, I apologize. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, it's time for public comments. And I have Mrs. Carolyn Wolfmouth, and you have approximately 4 minutes.
My name is Carolyn Walgamuth. I'm a city resident, taxpayer, and voter. The minutes from the September 11th meeting were just adopted. At the conclusion of that meeting, the council president read a statement acknowledging that the council violated the Open Meetings Act during its closed meeting on June 20th by improperly discussing a contract in closed session. Numerous public pleas for this council to remedy this lack of transparency by releasing the closed session minutes have fallen on deaf ears. This council continues to ignore the people's rights. The appearance of impropriety and the lack of transparency is nothing short of astonishing. At the city council meeting 2 weeks ago, on October 9th, this council extended their lack of transparency by awarding a sole source contract to Gillis Gilkerson for $10,750,000 without so much as a whimper. Common sense dictates that when the director of procurement point blank tells you that if you do not approve this sole source contract tonight, she will return later after the contract is put out to bid, that you would have numerous questions, or at the very least postpone a vote. It took this council all of 1 minute and 14 seconds to consider and vote to award that sole source contract. To put that into perspective, that's about a fourth of the time that I am allowed today to comment. Think about that for a moment. 1 minute and 14 seconds. Citizens and taxpayers deserve so much better. The continued preferred method of governance from this council is to hold meetings behind closed doors. It happened again on July 17th regarding the discussion about missing Exhibit E for the sale of lots 1, 10, and 15. It happens regularly now when interviewing candidates for high-profile positions with the police department, the assistant city administrator, the director of housing and community development, just to name a few. This unseemly behavior is now spilling over to city boards and commissions. In early September, and again last Friday, meetings were hastily called by the City Elections Board, who conducted closed meetings despite public comments to conduct the business in an open manner. We, the people, want and deserve transparency. This council has clearly decided to ignore the public and to operate in secrecy. Again, I ask that you immediately release the June 20th closed session meeting minutes. The city council election is 15 days away. I hope that city voters will consider your lack of transparency and hold you accountable at the ballot box. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Lisa Gingford.
My name's Lisa Gingrich, 316 North Division Street. Comment is going to be about the parks and talking about more money for park acquisition. My comment on that was going to be, can we please, excuse me, take care of what we have before we start talking about other things. And that extends to projects. Every time you come in, you look at the agendas. It's this project, it's that project, it's project. What are the ongoing costs? What are the maintenance? What are cost overruns? You never hear anything about any of that mentioned, and money that could be going into, let's take care of what we have before we do other projects. I think that's been said before, and I just like to say it again. Phone costs, okay, fine, if we need a phone system, that's fine. But I was really surprised to see the comments of, well, we think it's going to be, we believe it's going to be. I don't see how you can vote on something where you think you're going to have this, or you think you're going to have that cost, or this part of the project. So I'm just surprised that there was not more definite stuff in there. And that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Mr. John Foley.
Hello, I'm John Foley. I'm a resident of District 3, and I am here to publicly announce my candidacy as a write-in for the district. My name is out there now, and I look forward to speaking with anyone about this who may be interested. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Nancy Rosen.
Hello, Council. I'm Nancy Royston, and I live on Beaver Dam Drive. And I'm going to address most of my comments having to do with taxes. Per the U.S. Census, Salisbury is the Maryland city with the highest percent population at or below the poverty level, close to 25%. These poor folks don't make enough to pay taxes. Add to that, about a quarter of the residential property inside the city was removed from the city corporate limits decades ago. Just look at the map on page 45 of this meeting's agenda package. It's shown there with Resolution 3289. What a nice favor these privileged folks inside the city opted into and continue to exploit by not paying any city taxes. So about 1/2 of the city is not eligible to pay city property and income taxes, but the rest of us are paying excessive taxes, supporting them and the entire city. Our city's boundaries are one of the most gerrymandered in the nation. Fixing this is going to be a controversial and massive effort that should be started right now. Mayor and City Council, I call on you to propose a resolution at your next meeting to change this huge inequity. Thanks to recent years' overspending and the recently approved budget, we have the highest real property tax in a state that already had one of the highest rates in the nation. So city leaders' solution to a lot of this is to build 6,000 more homes to bring in more taxpayers. Well, duh, taxes are one of the main factors that prospective newcomers consider. Anyone who moves here will probably leave fast once they see their tax bills. Please fix our budget. Who of the current leaders and candidates are talking about how to add new jobs here? Without thousands of new jobs, these thousands of new homes in the pipeline is pointless. For your information, the city's own analysis of the Here's Home program tells that it gives about $43 million to developers by removing their hookup fees. It takes only about $43 million to run the city for a year. Unless city leaders commit to avoiding more of these giveaways to developers, the drain on our revenue base will continue. We must start examining the true whole life cycle cost of using grants to build new, questionable infrastructure. Local government employees and taxpayers are the people who will pay the later cost. Not to mention the very folks we hope to raise up, the underprivileged sector, who end up with poorly maintained public facilities, if that's not planned. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wayne King.
Hi, my name is Wayne. I'm running for council in District 2 against Deshawn. First thing I want to discuss is ethics. We have a rule in the county that if a person is an elected official They have to sit out a year before they move into a position working for the city. Mirabota, I'm sure did a very good job of jockeying for that position he now has in housing. The other thing I do not approve of is you take a guy that's running against me, he applies for the job, and now he's an incumbent? How can you do that? Yes, you could tell me I could have applied also, but I know you would have never chosen me because you know why? I would have voted no for every single one of these development projects. You guys are spending way too much money. Let's try to use common sense here for a second. Let's look at the national economy. It's bleeding down to everybody on the local level. We have interest rates that are high. We happen to have very high inflation rates. And the people that I know in contracting are paying more and more for everything that has to do with contracting, construction. So why don't we look 3, 4, 5 years down the road while we're building these things? A $20 million project could cost $50 million. Does anybody know what a GO municipal bond is here? Deshaun, do you know what a GO municipal bond is? Probably not. Well, a GO municipal bond makes the taxpayers responsible for the money that we cannot afford to finish those projects. So our taxes are going to keep going up. 5 times out of the last 11 years, our taxes have gone up. Now, I'm going to let the other people in the audience here tell you all about the data. I'm pleading for your common sense here. Let's just use common sense. We can't afford this stuff. Put the brakes on. Wait for the election to come up, okay? That's what we need to do. We have 3 weeks for the election. Stop pushing forward on this stuff. I see exactly what you guys are trying to do. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Okay. John Wolfmouth.
I'm John Walgamuth.
Oh, excuse me.
After up here a number of times, I will give Ms. Jackson credit and definitely Ms. Gregory for speaking out against the resolution 3290, which I just started making notes on because I was unaware that it was even going to come up, as was most of the council, if not all of them. I guess a few of them got together with the city administrator and said, well, let's put it on, see if we can get it done. And that is not transparency of any manner. We don't have hardly any notice for major legislation anyway. The public will get maybe a Friday notice on what's on the agenda. We walk into a meeting today and we're told this is going to be on the agenda. We haven't seen anything. We usually prepare for these kind of discussions over a long weekend of hard work. The council did not even get legislation in the packet today, as Ms. Gregory pointed out. This is not any way to award substantial land disposition agreements that were basically thought of maybe 5 years ago in 2018, 2019, but other than some discussion a week or so ago, we haven't seen any of it. We don't know the details of what the terms are, what the incentives will be that the city has to pay for and us as taxpayers will have to pay for. Is it going to be another Horizon project? Are they going to get other incentives like Here is Home? What is the cost to the city? We don't have any of this information. It's not in the packet. It's bad enough to go to a website on a Friday hoping to find the agenda item, but this is getting to the point of somebody from the city administration brings you something they want done and it's put on the agenda in less than a day's time. How can the public even prepare to respond to that? That is no transparency to the public and the taxpayers that pay for everything that's passed in this legislation. Do I understand that this will be brought on November the 13th to the agenda? That was kind of like talked about, but we can't hear. Is it going to be put on the agenda for November 13th? If it is, that gives us 3 weeks' notice. Hopefully, we'll get information more than a weekend ahead so we can prepare to discuss what this will actually cost the taxpayers. there was, again, no exhibits. We've been waiting for Exhibit E since June the 20th. We have not seen that. So let's see all the exhibits ahead of time so we can have an intelligent conversation.
Thank you. Mr. Robert Taylor.
Good evening, Robert Taylor. I can say I'm now a 52-year-plus resident of Salisbury. And I would like to build on maybe one comment that was just made by John. The November 13th meeting, that of course will be after the election day. Will the new electees be installed before this thing about selling these 2 lots down here on the river comes up? You don't have to answer the question. We can look it up, but if anybody would like to volunteer the answer, I think the public would like to know before the election. It was an interesting meeting. I didn't come to hear what you all were going to do with the sale of these lots. It wasn't on the agenda. But it was interesting because I had a $5 bet on it. I had a $5 bet with someone who will remain nameless that you would put it on the agenda and pass it. And it looked for a moment like I was going to win. But then Mr. Doty got religion and voted to table it. So I lost. So thank you. It only cost me $5. But anyway, I think this really shows why we need at this coming election to basically clean house. You only have this opportunity once every 4 years, and you can see what's happened. Just downtown here, for example. Look at what's happening, trying to ram this through. Who wrote that resolution, Mr. Kitzrow? Somebody had to spend a lot of time writing it. And I'm sure it was a set-up deal with Ms. Blake and at one point Mr. Doty to get it on, ram it through. The developer wants it. He knows the election. They know the election's coming. Just like the people that want to buy the 3 lots down here in back of the plaza. They know the election's coming. Now it's on the Board of Appeals for November the 2nd for the special exception that they've applied for the density. Let's get it through. I suspect they don't want to go to settlement on that property down there, those 3 lots, until they know they've got their zoning clearance. I've represented developers long enough, and I think I know what I'm speaking about. So that's what we're seeing. It's the last-minute rush before, hopefully, we clean house. Look at what's happened. The taxes were mentioned. Well, the Horizon program, what's going to happen there? These developers, by and large, just like the Ross, they're going to pay peanuts in taxes for 20 years. And it's going to cost the rest of us big time, because to make a certain amount of money, to pay your expenses, you have to have a certain amount of tax. If you take it down, everybody else has to pay more to bring it back up. So we've seen enough of this council, and it's time to change things completely. Thank you.
Thank you. Brett Davis.
Hi, my name is Brett Davis. I'm one of the owners of Davis Strategic Development. I just wanted to speak to a couple of the comments, just so that everyone is aware. So we actually own both of the properties. This is nothing to do with a land disposition. We are already entitled to the properties and have spent a great deal of money. That's why we brought you the drawings. We've done the soil samples, and the project hasn't changed fundamentally since 2018. I will apologize. When we first purchased the properties, which we paid cash, we had, I guess, higher ambitions than we were able to deliver on before COVID, and then COVID delayed quite a bit. We've done 12 other projects in downtown Salisbury, so I will say I think we've been working hard to make the city better. We have, I believe, over 25 completed projects now in the city of Salisbury. We're doing Mr. Go Glass on the highway, which has been dilapidated for a long time. We're removing 3 dumpsters a day at the Campbell Soup Factory and are getting ready to knock down 60,000 square feet there. We have a 120-acre development we're hoping to bring to the city, which will annex in quite a bit of land and add about 500 units out in the outer parcels of the city. So I just wanted to let you all know the plan is not meant to be surprised because it's been in the public domain. It's been in the newspaper a couple of times. So the goal is to deliver some, I would say, luxury apartments. We will be delivering first floor parking because I know that's always a major concern. We provide our own fiber internet as we do to the city. So that would be of the highest quality ideally. And then there would be some type of small retail component ideally. So these are plans that we've been sharing for years, and I do apologize that we weren't able to deliver on all of our construction projects as quickly as we probably should have. So just wanted to make sure everyone noted that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Much needed clarification.
Comments from administration? Mayor?
I have no comments this evening.
I have 2. One, my normal, if you can, please donate blood. And 2, I would ask everybody to keep all of the individuals involved in the situation in Israel in our prayers. There are a lot of people losing their lives, and most of them on both sides happen to be innocents. And we need to make sure that we remember those people and pray that this can be resolved quickly. Thank you.
So I want to address something. I'm being a lifelong resident of Salisbury. I'm proud to say that many of the residents here, who I call my friends and family, know my ethics and that I don't have to speak to my integrity, but I will address that I have not applied for or sought a position that that ex-councilman Boda has. So, but I appreciate the question of concern, but again, I know that I can speak to any ethics but if anyone has any questions about my ethics or integrity, please feel free to reach out to me. This week, we know we have a couple of events going on. A lot of schools have trunk or treats. I know Ms. Jackson has one coming up as well. Please participate. The kids love it. And as always, my favorite event this Sunday from the Salisbury JCs, which I'm a proud past president, they have their treat street, which thousands of kids are participants of, and free event. So I'll be down there. I can't promise that I'll dress up, but I'll be down there from 3 to 6 right here downtown on this Sunday. So I look forward to seeing how they incorporate the community in their events.
He'll be dressed up. If not, but in a suit and a tie. He'll be dressed up. Michelle.
I want to second bringing the kids out to Treat Street. It's a really fun event. I've participated before. It's a lot of fun. It's a great, safe way for the kids to go trick-or-treating, and it's always fun to see all the kids' costumes. And I will be dressed up. You got to come out and see me if you want to know what it's going to be. So I'm looking forward to seeing all the kids out there. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I also want to reiterate that my problem with tonight's agenda was not that it was the project. I want that to move forward. I had an objection to changing the agenda at the last minute without any kind of prior notification. So I just want to put that out there. Other than that, the other event that I'm really excited about is the night market being hosted by Blackwater Apothecary. They are they've arranged a night market for Halloween, where you can come out and find all kinds of cool fall items in the downtown area. So I believe there is some sort of pumpkin spice competition with some of the businesses. So I will absolutely be partaking in that because I want all the pumpkin spice. And I'm looking forward to that very much. So, hope everybody has a great week.
Angela?
Have a fantastic week.
Megan?
First thing, I just want to thank Jessica Cook for stepping up for the Disability Committee. We really do
Yes.
appreciate you taking the time. It means a lot to see residents like yourself step up. I just want to raise a flag that we have a number of positions still open with a number of committees. So as always, I strongly encourage residents to come out and be a part of this process. I used to be an active member of the Salisbury Sustainability Committee. I love these groups. Not only is it a great way to participate in your local government, it's just a great way to get connected with the community at large. At Deshaun stole the Treat Street. I'm a member of JC's. I'm excited about it. Well, for a third time, please come out. It's a good event.
Are you dressing up, though?
Maybe. I'll have to surprise you guys.
Okay.
But just a reminder for everyone, this is obviously trick or treat week. So you're going to be seeing a lot of kids out on the streets. Just be cautious and mindful. This is a time where you just proceed with caution. I know especially in my neighborhood off of Camden, just be a little bit mindful as you go around, and especially in the evening times. And that's about it for me, so thank you all.
I'm so thankful for all the trunk and treats because it makes it a little safer for our kids in the community. They're not really knocking doors anymore. They're going to safe havens. And we're hoping that, that this grows more and more each and every year. I'm hosting a trunk and treat at the VFW Post 10159 from 6 to 8. And if you know any kids that would like to come, please have them be there. We're going to have fun. We're going to have a haunted house, hay rides, and everything. So I'm just looking forward to the kids. And I love the kids. I love the seniors. So anything that I can do to help them, I'm there. Thank you. Have a good evening. All right. The meeting is adjourned.